Hey everybody, welcome to the Rochester Press Box. Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko with a few guests here today. First, we start with Bob Bleier, and you brought some nice gifts today.
Yeah, 2 years in the making. The Bleier family bourbon, along with my cousin Rocky Bleier from the Steelers, partnered with Iron Smoke. It's coming out very soon. I'll give you guys a little dibble as to how this took place soon.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, by the way, for bringing that by. And of course, if we don't have Pat Duffy here, we have to get a Duffy in studio. So Ryan Duffy is here. Hello, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's about time someone classed up this side.
I love the whole suit thing. I tell you, no shirt, no silly goose here. All right, let's first talk about it. I'll start with you, Ryan, and the Buffalo Bills. What was your takeaway from London? Because that performance, I'm not really sure what to make of it.
Yeah, I think for me, the takeaway is that I think they need to rethink any future trip they go to London and think through the logistics of the whole situation.
Yes. Tottenham is not good.
Right. Yeah. It's come to light that the Bills went later in the week, tried to stay up as late as they could on Saturday and try to adjust as quickly as possible. Now, I understand McDermott said that they referred to their sports science team. I am by no means a sports scientist nor expert in sleep cycles, but at the same time, I think the results on Sunday were kind of spoke for themselves.
Did you watch that game? It's an early Sunday morning game. I'm sitting there. Lawrence looked like he was throwing darts. I'm not sure what to make of this, Bob. Like, what Bill team do we have here?
Trevor Lawrence is my fantasy quarterback.
So you're extremely happy about his results.
I'm telling you, I tell you what, I view football games a little differently than most. Yeah. I watch the ball and I watch players. Mostly, I don't watch the play itself.
Yeah.
So when I look at Josh Allen when he comes out of the tunnel, I can tell when there's going to be a slow start. His eyes are huge. Mm-hmm. It just looks like he needs time to get moving and going. Yeah. Always the slow start. I can anticipate when that's going to happen just by his facial features. And then on the other side, you look at Trevor Lawrence, and he was engaged, he was focused, he was laser driven. But these guys are multimillionaires. The excuse of getting there too late, unacceptable when we're paying for tickets and we're paying salaries. Figure it out. That can't be an excuse. You lost the game.
It's so bizarre too, in the sense that this is not the first time teams have left the country to play football before. So you would think so to travel, and the taskmaster that is their head coach with McDermott, he's got schedules set up in advance, ready to go. So not being prepared, to Bob's point, is a really good point in the sense that how could you let Jacksonville do this to you again?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, second time this has happened in the last 3 years. It may be that Jacksonville just has Buffalo's number, has Josh Allen's number. I mean, I get it. I think that there's no one that could plan better, in my opinion, than Sean McDermott. Agreed. Definitely laid an egg this past Sunday.
I want to stay with you, that Matt Milano injury. I saw it. It's very scary. You hate to see that happen early on. Did that do anything to the Bills? I know he plays defense, but did that do anything to the team's psyche?
I think maybe to some degree, but I also think that Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills really, really back the idea of next man up. And you saw that with Dorian Williams checking into the game after that. He had a pretty good showing and also had a really good preseason. So I'm sure that just the psyche of losing one of your defensive stars and really like NFL leading stars in the defensive backfield definitely has to hurt. But at the same time, I don't think that they would have dwelled on it too long.
Do you think Matt Milano would have made a difference for Trevor Lawrence? He looked pretty good. I'm not sure.
I think he would have. I think he's a veteran. He understands schemes. He probably understands the playbook as good as the other team he plays. My concern is the three key people on defense to me are always your two rush ends, your two D ends. They blow up plays. They pressure the quarterback, and your middle linebacker. He calls all the plays on the defense. There's a difference to that. Jermaine Edmonds last year was a beast when he played for the Bills, right? He was all over the field, huge and impossible to block. Milano is a different kind of player. He's a head player. He's smart. He's a veteran. He doesn't make mental mistakes, and he's always in the right spot. And he's responsible for calling a lot of the defensive schemes in the middle. So I think the combination of Von Miller not being 100%, Rousseau's coming back this year, Epinesa, he's been playing great. The pieces haven't been together all at once for the entire season on the Bills' defense. They need to get healthy as the season goes because they will make a playoff run. Any questions or concerns about the offense? Because I think a lot of people were sort of like, wait a minute, we're a better team than this. Look what we've done to Miami. Look what we did to Washington. And
how can we not show up every once in a while? Like the Jets game, they should have won that game, but they didn't.
Yeah. I mean, long-term concerns, not really. You know, I look at this game this past Sunday as an outlier. If there's the similar issues this Sunday night against the Giants, then yeah, there may be cause for concern there. But I really look at this as an isolated incident.
All right, we'll pick that game. Giants-Bills coming up next with Greg Connors. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
Just passing through, life lessons from notable Rochesterians, people you may think you know. Don Elhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension, J Mac and Soccer Sam, Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck, along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you.
Our Buffalo Bills segment brought to you by Connors of Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and proud sponsor of Buffalo Bills Training Camp.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko this week, and it's time for the big segment of picking, of course, being brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Greg Connors joins us now. What's going on, Greg? Welcome back to the USA after the London trip.
Well, I'll say it's good to be back on American soil. I just hope the Bills now play better being back home than they did at their home game in London.
Oh, man, you had to see that up front. All right, second loss of the year. Your thoughts going in, Giants and Bills in Buffalo.
Well, I hate to do this. The Giants haven't lost a game within 14 points, I think, the last 3 or 4 weeks. But there's just something about this Ken Dorsey offense. I don't know if they're going to be able to distance themselves. I'm going to go with the Giants to win and not the Bills not being able to cover the spread.
Really?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I'm starting to feel a little bit good about that. Bob, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think if Saquon's healthy, which he hasn't been in quite some time, I think they got a chance to beat this point spread as well. I mean, we were just talking about this. Jones has to have a great game.
Yeah.
And the Bills' secondary, I think, is a little vulnerable. You know, they gave up a lot of passing yards. So it could happen. It could be the perfect storm for the Bills to go 3-3.
All right, Ryan. All right. I know this is a lot of pressure on you. A lot of people looking at the Giants liking the money. What are your thoughts?
I can't believe I'm the outlier in all this, that you guys are taking the Giants plus 14. This is a team the Giants that gets sacked constantly. Yes, there's issues with the secondary for Buffalo. Yes, there's issues with the offense that we saw last week in London. But if Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor, for that matter, can't get the ball to his receivers, how in the world are you going to cover 14 points? There's no way, in my opinion, that the Bills are going to lose this game, and I absolutely see them covering the spread.
As we're recording this right now, this whole issue with Jones's neck, not quite sure about that. You got to have Tyrod. He's got to get his snaps this week. So there is a possibility, maybe game day, maybe later on in the game, that you might see Tyrod Taylor in this game. All right, Greg, any other game outside of the Bills-Giants game you're interested in?
I do have a game. Can you imagine if Tyrod Taylor came back into Buffalo with Daboll and kept it within 14? That would be a story.
It sure would, and I'd
would be a
love to
story.
see it. Boy, it would be interesting for Daboll's return to Buffalo.
Now, my other game, I'm going to go with the Lions. The Lions are, I think, plus 3.5 against the Bucs down in Tampa. But I like this Lions team. They're tough. Campbell's got them playing strong, and I think they're going to upset the Bucs.
Let me first say this about your pick. Dan Campbell was made so much fun of when he first became the head coach. Bob, he's playing old school football, and it's turning in results.
Yeah, he was like a high school or college rah-rah kind of guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, on the way over here, I was thinking to myself, that's kind of, you know, players in the NFL are still young guys. They're still in their 20s, right? Mm-hmm. They still need that motivation from the hierarchy and the upper echelon of the program. And I'm telling you, he's got them playing tough. And wouldn't it be a great story if Goff brings Detroit a Super Bowl?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, the LA would just be sitting back like, he could have done that for us.
And that would be in Vegas.
Yeah, and it would be in Vegas. That would be even better, that everybody gets to see it. You have a game this week you're interested in, something in the end? And
I'm very interested in the Detroit game. I mean, I'm not jumping on the bandwagon, but I've loved Detroit ever since Barry Sanders. Who hasn't, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And you squeeze for them always because they had great players and never had a really good program or really successful program over the years. So I'm excited for that fan base. They're as good as the Steeler fan base. They're as good as Bills Mafia. They deserve some success, and I think this could be the team that delivers. It's always been, we're talking about the AFC for the playoff run and for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You got the Niners. You got Detroit and the Eagles.
Yeah.
I think the NFC is dominant this year.
Any pick this week for the NFL Week 6?
Got to be Chiefs minus 10.5. I mean, that's not nearly enough points to play the Broncos. Now, granted, by the time this is airing, the game will be over, being on Thursday Night Football, but I'm hoping I'm not eating my words there.
Well, either way, Greg, we were talking about this off air. The Chiefs are not the Chiefs anymore. It's like a bizarre, different type of Chiefs team that's going through some sort of offensive transition.
Yeah, you got to trust Andy Reid, though. I mean, the Andy Reid and the Chiefs, that's what it feels like to have an offensive coordinator, the guy that can find the spots. But it's going to be an interesting game with the Chiefs-Broncos. And Bob, I was with Bob until he brought up that the fan base in Detroit is almost as good as Bills Mafia. That one, I don't know about that.
They're starving for a championship, too, in Detroit. So definitely a nice blue-collar town is Detroit. So wish them the best of luck. Greg Connors and Ferris, thanks for the time this week. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me.
This week, I have to go with the Commanders over Atlanta. I know Atlanta's on a good roll here, but the Commanders are a dangerous team. And for the pick from Pat Duffy, a.k.a. James Bond, let's find out what Pat is picking.
Hey, boys. Greeting from jolly old London town. I miss you all very much, and I'll be back next week. But while we're here, I'd like the Bills to win against the Giants. I don't think they have the 14 points in them with all the injuries they got going on, but I hope I'm wrong. Meanwhile, I do like the Seahawks to cover the 3 points against the Bengals this Sunday. So, Bills to win, not to cover. Seahawks to cover the 3 points against the Bengals on Sunday. We'll see you all next week in the press box.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
Pumpkins and apples. Hello again, Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy, and a little bit of fall family fun. You're going to love this getaway. Just check out the Getaway Guy right now on Facebook.
Do you ever see a day where certain PEDs are okay to the point where guys need to get healthy, they need to take... Commissioners are smart. They know that the best way to sell their product is to have their athletes, their star athletes, on the field. Is there any point where PEDs maybe become okay, some of them?
Well, you look at it, if you take Andy Pettit at his word, is what he said, he took this stuff to recover quickly and get back onto the field. How much different is that than Tommy John surgery?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of its results?
Well, I mean, Andy Pettit, I believe, is a bold-faced liar. It's easy to sit in that press conference and say, oh, look, I was hurting, I got a family, I got to make money. Come on, man.
But just for the sake of argument, let's believe him.
Okay, that's fine. What are the negative side effects of Tommy John surgery for a 17-year-old kid? There's your point. A 17-year-old kid takes steroids, he could roid out, his what shrinks, he loses his hair, you got health problems. 17-year-old kid has Tommy John surgery, he's throwing harder.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Welcome back to the Press Box. Like it or not, this segment is being brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips, it's a game changer. No appointment needed. Stop by a Rochester location today. I'll ask you about, it's bizarre that you have a owner like Jerry Jones. I've never seen an owner like this before. We've never had an owner like this in any other sport before. But he has definitely put the vote of confidence in Dak Prescott after the Cowboys lost to the 49ers last week, that he is going to take them to the Super Bowl. What are your thoughts of an owner speaking up weekly about their star quarterback?
Well, I think the owner's forced to make those kind of statements. Look about the salary cap, what they're paying him. He's one of the highest paid players in the league. I think part of the problem is when you see all these quarterbacks kind of do all these outlier sponsorships and spend a lot of time off the field making additional funds and doing commercials and all that. Dak's been everywhere the last year. And when it comes down to crunch time, I can't understand what is so difficult about that. The Dallas Cowboys put so many great players around him. They're always highly skilled, and that offensive line is always one of the best in the league. So I'm blown away by how poorly the quarterback position can be, but Jerry Jones is forced. He's absolutely forced with what he's paying Dak Prescott to continue to support him. He has to.
He loves the exposure, right? Like he loves to go out there and just say, hey, you know what? We might just go get, a quarterback from San Francisco out the wire. I might just pay my quarterback $150 million. And then, he's outspoken.
Yeah.
Do you like an outspoken owner or a guy that's quiet or a woman that's quiet in the background?
I like an owner that lets the people that they put in charge run the show. I do like that, and I prefer that. And I prefer that in like how we have it in Buffalo. You made a wonderful point earlier as far as the Steelers ownership. Like there's a lot of good examples of that. But as far as the comments toward Dak Prescott and about Dak Prescott, I do like that. I don't necessarily agree that Jerry Jones' sentiment that Dak Prescott's going to lead them to the Super Bowl, but I do like the fact that it almost seems like an about face from someone like Jerry Jones, who in the past has, for all intents and purposes, trashed Ezekiel Elliott, trashed their offensive coordinator, trashed head coach Jason Garrett in the media, to where it really expedited their tenure with the Cowboys. So to see Jerry Jones, whether or not his hand is forced, to give the support to Dak Prescott when they have someone like Trey Lance that they paid before on the waiting in the wings, I do actually like that for Dak Prescott and for his confidence overall.
It does make you believe that he believes in Dak so much, but I don't. With the 49ers and the Eagles and the other teams in the NFC, Detroit, you mentioned it earlier. I mean, it's going to be interesting to play down whether or not Dallas will even make the top 4 teams in the NFL. We'll do some unfinished business coming up next. You're watching the Rochester Press Box.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Tariq Spence filling in for Bill Pucko, who will be back next week hosting this bad boy. But right now it's unfinished business, and Bob Bleier goes first.
Well, I have a little surprise for everybody in Steelers Nation and Patriots Nation. Bleier family just came out with some bourbon, Cliff Notes version. It's been 2 years in the making. Rocky and I became bourbon stewards down in Louisville, Kentucky, roughly about a year ago, and struck a deal with Iron Smoke, and they were happy to partner with us. So we have a legacy bourbon now. It's a limited batch, select barrel, and it benefits the Purple Heart Association, which Rocky Bleier is a member of. So it'll be for sale probably in 2 weeks. So check out Iron Smoke's website. You can purchase it from them. So support the Bleier family and the Purple Heart Foundation.
Yeah, I'm dressed up today, and it's not just because it's picture day here in the Rochester Press Box. It's because I've always been told you don't dress for the job you have, you dress for the job you want. And that job for me is general manager for the Buffalo Sabres. Kevin Adams may be more qualified, but can a guy dream? And why wouldn't you want that job? The Sabres are stacked with young talent from front to back. Now that D-man Rasmus Dahlin is locked up for the next 8 years, with the offensive power from the likes of Tage Thompson, Jeff Skinner, Alex Tuck, Dylan Cousins, Casey Middlestat. I could go on. The sky is the limit for Buffalo this year. And that's not even accounting for young studs J.J. Peterka and Jack Quinn, as well as the potential of Matt Savoy, provided he can recover from his preseason injuries. You can call it beginning of the season optimism all you want. But the reality is this team missed the playoffs by 1 point last season and was edged out by the eventual Eastern Conference representatives in the Florida Panthers. If you're asking me, and let's be honest, of course you are, this is the year the Sabres finally make their push into the postseason, ending their 12-year playoff drought. Now, think back to 2011. Baby Ryan, he's watching Oprah's last show, jumping into my Oldsmobile Cutlass Sierra, listening to Party Rock Anthem, and to return my copy of Green Lantern to the Red Box before I get hit with a late charge. That's how long it's been. Now I'm older, wiser, likely with several non-returned Red Box movies, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel for the Sabres' playoff woes. And on behalf of all of Western New York, go get them, boys.
When we look at sports athletes and look at the greatest or the toughest or the memorable players, I know a lot of people will go to Michael Jordan, they'll go to, of course, Tom Brady, even Michael Phelps. I would consider Simone Biles. Why? There's not too many stars that are able to be the most decorated gymnast of all time, talk about an athlete and the injuries that they go to, but they also have a story of which there was abuse that was taking place at the level of the gymnastics world that involved its gymnastic stars, and then still have those gymnastic stars go out and perform at extremely high levels to win multiple goals. That's Simone Biles. So when you talk about the toughest Americans and the toughest American athletes, Simone Biles should be on your Mount Rushmore, or at least considered. And that's this week's Rochester's Press Box. Of course, thank you to the well-dressed Ryan Duffy, as always.
Thanks for having me.
And of course, Bob, where can I get it?
Exactly. We'll hit it.
All right.
Good to be here.
Good to be on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Puckle will be back coming up next week. Thank you for joining us.